now be recorded.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Vader City Council. It is Wednesday, November 6th, 2024, and it is 6:05 p.m. Roll call.
Mayor Bushman.
Here.
Sheila Cobb.
Here.
Jason Daly.
Here.
Randy Hall.
Randy is still recovering, so he is excused.
Mike Parsons.
Here.
Michael Ferguson.
Attending remotely.
Excellent. Have a quorum. Pledge of Allegiance. Please follow me to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mayor's report, short this time. The Street and Stormwater Infrastructure Project Part 2. Lisa, did they start this week or are they waiting until next week?
They're gonna start cutting asphalt tomorrow.
Okay.
And then start next week.
Okay, so they're just getting going on that second part of the project that was approved. And then lastly, the Saturday, October 26th Halloween Pumpkin Fest, sponsored by the Lions Club and the Handcrafted Merchant. A lot of fun. Sheila was there all
So was Bob, dressed up.
Yeah.
So was Joe. You should have seen his costume.
Right, great trunk or treat style event, well attended. So I'm sure that'll happen again. A lot of fun for the kids. Council reports. Any members of the council have anything to report? Okay, hearing none. Agenda approval. There is one change. If you notice on city business item 2 and 3 for the city council meeting schedule change and the planning committee and parks board meeting schedule changes, it lists two different ordinances. Lisa was able to wrap all of those up into one ordinance. So I believe it's just ordinance 09. Is that 409? And so there's just one ordinance that'll cover all of that.
So there's no number 3.
Right.
That's correct. Yeah, it'll all be one discussion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the city council agenda for November 6th, 2024 with the combination of 2 and 3.
A motion by Mr. Daly to approve the agenda with the noted changes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Parsons. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes approval. And if you notice, we have 2 minuses. Since we didn't have a meeting the last time.
I'll make a motion that we approve city council meeting minutes for October 9th, 2024, and the city council meeting minutes for October 23rd, 2024.
Motion by Mr. Parsons to approve both sets of minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded Mr. Daly. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Voucher approval.
Make a motion we approve the vouchers for the end of October 2024 at $30,262.32. 1st of November 2024 at $47,575.69.
We have a motion by Mr. Parsons to approve the vouchers as stated. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Goff. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Special reports, Lewis County Sheriff's Department. Mr. Rubin.
Good morning. So for October 2024, there was 273 citizen contacts, 6 on-shift calls, 9 traffic stops, 3 infractions, 1 custodial arrest, 2 shift calls for a total, and off-shift calls 35, total calls 37, again with that 1 custodial arrest.
And thank you for support. I know you said you had extra patrol here on Halloween for the kids, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Were there any kids out on Halloween?
Yes.
We did. Yeah, we had a number of folks come up.
I couldn't get my porch light to stay on, so.
All the wiggly Halloween stuff in their yard isn't good enough?
I would think so. I got like,
Yeah.
15.
It was
I wasn't raining, so. It was raining,
It
yeah.
was a nasty day, but they still came out.
Next special report, I don't see Ken Joslin here. He was going to talk about his efforts on the 4th of July event. There is some news just this afternoon. We applied for Lewis County Tourism Funds to help with the 4th of July event. And the initial report is that we'll probably get about $5,000 to help with our 4th of July event. So that's exciting. So that's about half of what it usually costs to do it. And so the committee can sit down and figure out how they want to organize the event, if they want to expand the event or keep it the same. And so we'll see. I know they had some aspirations to expand the event, and that's how we presented the grant application. So,
That was beautiful.
yep. Very, very fun. Very good. Public comment. Any members of the public have any comments tonight? Okay, moving on to the public hearing then. This is what would normally be the second public hearing on the budget. This is for the preliminary 2025 budget. You have copies available in the council packet and on request. So I open this public hearing at 6:11 p.m. This is a time when the public gets a chance to say they don't want their property taxes raised, and they don't like the way the budget looks. So, all right, public, let us have it.
Brutal, just brutal.
Can't take it anymore. Please wait for us to make a decision, then get mad at us. Oh, did I say that?
Isn't the way government works? Not always. Bob, I hear you online there. Speak up, please, and directly into your microphone.
I think that we should hold off on the taxes, bank taxes, and give time, a year's time to get inflation or gas prices down, and that would be, make your dollar go a lot further.
You're very hard to hear.
He said,
Okay.
we should wait for Trump to do his thing so that we will get better grocery prices, better gas prices, our economy will go down and we'll have more money. And then maybe people will be a little more accepting of getting more taxes.
I appreciate that point of view. Any other comments from the public? I'll ask one more time if there's any more input on this public hearing. Okay, hearing none, this public hearing is closed at 6:13 p.m. Moving on to city business. Item number 1, council to consider application for tiny house temporary ADU. So per our city code, any temporary applications for housing, including ADUs, need to be approved by the park board first, or excuse me, park board, planning committee, those other folks that deal with planning, and then finally to the city council. And so if you look in your packets, you'll see that planning committee already took a look at this, the city engineer already took a look at this, the city planner already took a look at this, the building officials already took a look at this. It's all in compliance. Basically what they do is they get a 1-year permit to have a temporary ADU, and then at the end of that 1 year, they have to come back and ask for an extension if they need an extension. Does anyone, do I need to keep talking about this, or is everyone
Well,
familiar
it
with
doesn't
this?
have a bathroom. Don't they supposed to have a bathroom? That seems health-wise a little, I wouldn't want my neighbors living
it
outside
doesn't-
me
it-
without a bathroom.
It doesn't have a bathroom? Are you sure
No,
about
they
that?
said they'd use the toilet inside the house.
Oh, so they're just gonna keep the,
They have a bathroom, but they're just gonna hook it up with a hose and use the gray water and
right,
not
yeah.
use the black water, which is
So-
ridiculous.
It is, like I said, all our paid staff have taken a look at this, and it does meet city code, and it's not permanent. So basically the idea is, she owns a tiny house already, she lives in Idaho, she's got a friend here in Vader, she wants to move the tiny house here, it's on the backside of town, it won't bother anybody, it's gonna be in the driveway of this other house, and after she moves here, she's going to buy property and then move the tiny house onto her new property. That's why she needs the temporary allocation.
I see where Bob leans on this, but I also think it's awesome that we can encourage people to seek government permission to like do it, and should they want to buy a permit and be compliant with their endeavor, I support it.
If they're up to code.
It is, yeah, like I said.
And how come the bathroom, if she's not gonna use the bathroom, how come that doesn't sound up to code? It's in her,
I would defer to our building official, which is Townsend and Associates, and they said that it meets residential building codes. So it's compliant.
I have a question. They're saying they're gonna hook the power up with a power cord. I do not believe the state electrical board would let somebody have a temporary electrical line run along the house tied into that trailer. If you think about the safety aspect. Thank you.
Yeah, again, we've.
Yeah, they looked at it, I understood.
Again, it meets all the building codes.
So do we need is there an ordinance?
No, it's just a.
and the number's not right on the.
A motion and the number is not right.
No, it should have two O's in front of it. The parcel number is not correct.
Oh. There's a typo on the parcel number.
Yes,
It's back on C Street.
and with a bunch of stuff. You should probably go look at it. I'm all for people helping their families. I realize things are really tough for everyone and we need to help, but I mean, they're gonna let something like this in, but you can't have somebody with a brand new camper trailer stay at your house for a few, it's gotta be this box on wheels.
Well, and that's why it's temporary, and if at the end of the year, they haven't, made arrangements, they need to come back and ask for it again, and the city council deny it at that
It
point.
appears as though anybody could go ahead and buy this permit and ask for our permission to have a relative stay in an RV on their property for a year at a time.
Not
Right.
an RV, I didn't think.
Is that, a temporary ADU type of thing, or is that?
I'm not sure if a recreational vehicle would apply to this part of the code,
That makes sense.
but ADUs certainly. Discussion.
What's the city code now for ADUs?
Well, right now, they are allowed, and we actually can't not allow them. The state is mandating that. At the completion of our comprehensive plan, I believe we have 6 months to adopt the new state standards, which would allow 2 ADUs per property, and the property owner doesn't even need to live there. So that's the new state law. So you could basically have 3 residences on one property.
Now, if you put in a temporary ADU for the year like you're talking about, it still has to be offset from the property lines.
It doesn't.
I know Ken Jocelyn just went through that because his neighbor was living in a container on his property line.
Let's see.
That's a separate issue, but no, the ADU, if it was, yes, this still has to maintain setbacks, and in this case it is. It's going to be in their driveway, setback further back by their garage and stuff. So it's out of the way. They're kind of at the end of a road, end of a dead end, so it's not going to impact anybody.
Yeah, we will not be using a toilet inside the tiny house. We will only be using the bathroom inside the main dwelling for any Blackwater use.
That's the way they want to live.
And if that's okay, then I wouldn't want my neighbor doing that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for tiny house temporary ADUs.
We have a motion by Mr. Daly to approve the application for the temporary tiny house ADU. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Parsons. Further discussion? All those in favor of approving the application, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, till I
Motion
get a better
passes.
picture. That little drawn picture isn't that great. I really don't,
Understood.
not that impressed.
Moving on to item number 2/3, council to consider ordinance 2024-09, city council meeting schedule, planning committee schedule, and parks board meeting schedule. So if you remember, I'm sure you know, the council currently meets every other Wednesday, not necessarily first and third. We had a kind of an ad hoc schedule in the code. The idea is to move back to first and third Wednesdays, and then also to move planning committee to second Wednesdays, and parks board to fourth Wednesdays. So there'll always be a meeting on Wednesday nights here at City Hall, whether it's council, planning committee, or parks board. Right now, the issue is on Thursday nights when planning committee and parks board meet. A lot of times the planning committee has to rush to complete because parks board is right afterwards. So that's not really fair and not really good business for the planning committee. So we wanted to facilitate them to have a better meeting. This also allows park board to meet a little earlier. They tend to have lengthier meetings, so let them get out of here at a better time. So that is the idea.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024 is it 09? 09.
A motion by Mr. Parsons to approve 2024-09. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Goff. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 4-ish, council to discuss cost increases, LeMay solid waste rates. So of course, in our contract with LeMay, just like everyone else in the county, they can raise rates based on consumer price index, basically inflation. And so they did come in last week with this letter that's in your packet saying that rates will increase. Oh, what was it? A couple bucks?
4.75%.
Yeah. So it was a couple bucks a month, I think.
This is the third time.
Has it been a year already?
been
Or do they do this?
I've had it 3 times this year.
So they can do, I believe they can do it yearly, but if there's some, I think they can do it if there's something in the middle of the year as well. Like I think at the end of the middle of the year, the transfer stations raise the amount for to dispose of tonnage, and so they
Pass it on.
pass that on because the county raised their rates. And so obviously, as a private business, they need to raise their rates to compensate so they don't lose money. So it's mostly a notification. Just wanted to discuss it out loud. Our options are limited as far as how we go about this. Just the way it is.
Jeff still have his truck?
Yes,
Mhm.
he's still going down the road.
Jeff is, and Jeff is still subject to the same dumping rates as LeMay is, so he didn't get a break. So he would need to be raising his rates as well. Question is, would they still be cheaper?
Well, but they came every week. I only get picked up twice a week and my stuff is doubled.
I mean, we could pursue other options again at some point.
Can we pursue opening it up?
Opening it up.
Like, so if I wanted to use Jeff, I could use Jeff, or if I wanted to use Acme garbage service, I could use Acme, whoever.
Didn't we talk about that when we made the switch? Wasn't there some issue with doing that?
Well, getting everyone to have to be on something, it's hard to do when there's 3 different services that you have to monitor to see, make sure people are all
Yeah.
active.
I can go back and look at my notes
Are
on that.
more people on it now? Like, is everybody getting garbage service now? Because there's still a lot of garbage.
I don't have a report on that.
See,
mean-
it is.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, is it actually mandatory to have have a subscription with LeMay and pay for their service?
It is
Yes.
mandatory in the city to have garbage service.
It's mandatory for the city to provide a garbage service for the citizens, but it's not mandatory for the citizens to purchase that or
Yes.
utilize it. Like if they
It
want to haul
is.
their own trash in the back of their truck,
No.
they're welcome to do that, right? I mean,
No.
By city code, it is a law that each private residence must have garbage service.
Most
That's in the city code. That was from years ago before the city had a building department and was able to do code enforcement. So that's kind of a remnant from that. And we don't really actively.
I was like, who's going to enforce that? Who's like,
Well,
that's one of those weird laws that like, who's looking at who has garbage service?
Well, so
Because we don't have the city doesn't have direct contact with LeMay on people's garbage bills, right?
Right. So what we do with that is if someone has garbage building up on their property, when we cite them for code enforcement, we can cite that city code. So it's kind of one of the pieces of leverage that we have. Obviously, if there's not a problem, we're not going after folks.
That part makes sense to me.
We had a rat problem.
Why does he sound so bad?
We need a new system.
We do have a rat
It's
problem,
only one.
and I didn't notice it until.
We said we had a rat problem with everybody keeping.
Sewer project.
We did, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion on this? If we want, I can look into a couple different things.
So then,
I have a feeling the prices wouldn't go down much, but I could look into it.
So Joe, who's going
I've seen two at my house.
looking for this violation,
Yeah.
or is it neighbors for the neighbors?
So yeah, so it's by complaint, or if we notice it, then, because we've had it in the past where folks are
Well,
piling their bags of kitchen garbage alongside their garage, and it's very obvious.
I thought that when we signed up LeMay, they were supposed to give us a report that showed the houses that had it and the houses that don't.
Are we getting that? Are we getting a report?
Because that was one of the things we were happy about, that, because Jeff didn't, that was one of Jeff's issues, was not reporting who has it and who doesn't have it. And LeMay said, well, that's easy. We'll send you a report every month that has us all.
Yeah. Jeff had a lot of issues. I mean, he wasn't charging everyone a constant rate. One person would pay one thing and someone else would pay another. He was literally having people put cash under their garbage can and taking money under the table from people. He was having family feuds with folks here in town and intentionally missing their garbage. It was a very unprofessional business.
Is they the only carrier around?
You know, I think LeMay carries
County, yeah.
carries everything around here except for Chehalis. Morton maybe have their own garbage. I can't remember. There's just a couple of them that have their own, but everything else is LeMay.
Is that up now?
Garbage is weird. It's regulated. Like garbage can only go, if the garbage is made in this district, it can only go to certain districts. And so Vader was very unusual in that our garbage was collected by somebody else because there was like a permit is the wrong word. Some kind of license that allowed that to happen. So.
So get a truck and we'll hire you to do the whole town. There you go.
I gotta be able to pay for food.
All right, any other discussion on this for now?
No.
No? No, okay. Moving on to number 5, council to discuss cost increases. Lewis County provided water sewer system meter reads. So obviously the county is operating our water system right now. They had been charging about $327, I think, something like that, every 2 months to share the meter reads with us. And we use that meter read documentation to base our sewer rates on. They're tripling it to.
They're what? Tripling it?
Tripling it to nearly $1,000 every.
Just to give us a piece of information that they already have.
Yes. That you could ask for via public records if you wanted to. The idea is that it's one government entity benefiting from the resources of another government entity. That's the general rule. And so
there's no scratch your back, I'll scratch, or, kind of thing. I get it.
It's the way it is.
No good old boy stuff in
Yes.
government, Jason.
Hopefully you've looked at that and you've seen the way they've calculated it. And so we can contest, we can have a discussion with them about it and see if we can negotiate it. We could maybe ask for a phased increase, but there's nothing in the in our interlocal agreement with them that prohibits them from doing this. The good news is it's not going to crater the sewer budget. So
you just said that that's something that we can look up and we can get those records, correct?
we could, they might not be as timely as we need. Like if we need them by a certain date for our sewer, public records requests can take however long. And I
get that.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah,
But
I would rather
I think it's
pay
still,
another couple hours for somebody to go down there and pick it up.
I think it skirts the, I don't think you can just do that. It would still be one government entity benefiting another, even if we just went and, unless we read the meters ourselves. Unless we could doing that.
But when the garbage man over here picks up your garbage, he can read your meter.
So. Anyway.
Well, aren't we all used to wearing multiple hats in this town?
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it can be honor system. Everyone can go out and read their own meter and then send us an email.
Send us a picture.
Kristen's like.
A picture of it, yeah. Your address.
Contract somebody to read those meters?
I don't even know if that's a possibility. I spoke out loud before I.
So here's just another thought. The reading the meter all of the water that, when the water bill changes, I've never really liked the water means your sewer is this much, right? Because no matter how much water I put on my lawn, I still poop the same amount. Right? So,
See
sorry.
the relationship.
So there's not really a relationship there. And so what if we just figure out an average? We've got all these numbers for the last 5 years or so.
Wait a minute.
Figure out an average, and then people don't get shocked about their sewer bill either, and we know what to budget.
So that was a thought that I had. I haven't discussed that with
But I'm a guy that
Kristen yet,
goes to
but
the bathroom at work.
A lot of cities charge a flat rate fee for sewer.
How can you?
What's that? You go to the bathroom. See, never mind. I'm
And it's how different it is in each household. How can you find an average to just charge people?
Well,
so here's the thought. So if we're going to get charged $6,000 a year for the meter reads,
Mhm.
is the amount of overage that people pay, because we have a base rate on the usage right now, is the amount of overage more than that, significantly more than that? Do you know? I know you've said, Kristen, I know you've said that there aren't that many people that go over their base allotment.
and if
So I
they,
guess the question is
and if they do,
how
they're
much
watering their
money do
garden.
we generate on the overage, I guess is the question.
So I can probably pretty easily come up with a report of what we make with what people pay on their overage. And then we can compare it to the extra money that they're going to charge us. The only thing I think of is a family of 2 is going to be using sewer a lot less than a family that has 8 in their home.
Right.
And they both would be expected to pay the same. So that's something that I think of if you guys just go with the general.
Don't we have a relief on our water bill for 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, in the summer months, we do go to an average of the previous months. And the idea is when Mike is watering his lawn, he's not paying for sewer for all that extra water.
You're in the middle of summer.
Yeah. But there was one point, I had another lot and there was water on it, so I was like, oh, cool, that'll be great. So there was no house on it. And I still got a sewer bill also, but there was no drain. It was just a water supply. And I talked to the city before and, well, that's the way it works. I'm like, well, that's dumb. So I got the water turned off and brought my water all the way around. So,
You pay for the meter, don't you? Isn't that?
well, you pay for the water, yes, and I was paying for that, but then the city charged me a sewer bill also.
I got it.
Because I had a water thing, but no sewer access. So,
this information just came in late last week. I haven't gotten to brainstorm it yet with city staff. Obviously, I started to talk to Kristen about it just right now. It's the first time I've seen her. And so we'll have some better, maybe some other alternatives for you. But the good news is, again, if the city were to pay it at the rate that the county is asking, again, the sewer budget will be fine. So, and we can also,
sewer budget will be fine, but that just means that we're gonna have, that saves us $6,000.
it does, yeah. And so like I said, we'll look at some
Then we
alternatives.
don't have to raise property taxes.
So sewer,
I know,
because it's a separate budget.
I know there's a separate budget. I was just being outspoken. Sorry, Joe.
So we'll have this on the agenda next week with some more information for you. Any other discussion? Jason's gone. Okay. Moving on to number 6. Council discussed possible water system receivership extension. So if you remember late last year, we had a first amendment to the agreement for receivership. to extend it by 2 years. So this is the first year of that extension. The second year of the extension would be the end of 2025. I've asked the county if they'd be receptive to a possible 2 more years on top of that. And the initial messages I got back was yes, they would be receptive to that. And so the reasonings that I'm interested in that are the following. First, everyone has budget shortfalls right now. If you pay attention to the news, everyone's cutting back. To do a big mix-up of who owns the water system right now could be damaging to a lot of people's budgets. But more importantly for Vader, I think in an additional 2 years, we'll be in a much better position to take the water system back, and it'll be the only major project on our books at that time. And so my question for council is, would you be interested in doing another 2-year extension? And if so, I'll start having those conversations with county. I absolutely think it's the right thing to do. So that would be the way I'd like to see it would go.
Well, I'd like to see us get it back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't see us having a plan right now, so we really need an extension, to be honest.
I mean, there are ways forward. I mean, we've got the planners that last year they started on the water system action plan. We put it on hold. That work has paused, but it's still at least another $20,000 or $30,000 worth of paperwork for that to finish up. And we've got some big projects in 2025 we want to do. And so I think another year or two would be the right thing for the city as well, and help out some other municipalities at the same time.
My only contingency with that is that if you put it off for another couple of years, that you will still be here to see it through as Mayor Joe. Is it?
When am I up for re-election?
I don't know.
Wasn't this my first year? This is my first of 4, isn't it?
No, it's like 2045 or something.
Jesus.
2045, that works.
Term limits, people. No, I think I have 3 more years.
I don't think any of us are trying to replace you.
Okay.
No. Jason's always looking at the big chair.
No, I'm looking at the right thing for the future. The future.
So actually, a couple of you unrelated, but I think a couple of you are up for election next year. So.
Putting it off for a couple more years, Joe. We have a problem now with people not paying their sewer bills. And one reason you were talking about getting the water rights was to be able to shut their water off if they're not paying their sewer bills.
Absolutely.
So that's another 2 years of fighting these people to get them to pay their bills.
So good news is we've got really good measures in place now to go after these folks, and we're getting money through collections company from these folks that we've never gotten before. So the collections between the new city procedures and the collections company being really aggressive. These folks that have 10,000, 6, 8 years of back sewer bills are actually getting caught and are paying now. Kristen, do you have a feel for how that's going?
Actually, 3 of the accounts that were on collections are coming in and staying current on their own, so that's something that hasn't happened in the last 3 years. And then the collections company is collecting on a couple of them too that we haven't seen money from, so.
But does our income, for the attorney fees that we're getting off those sewer incomes is because we have to use an attorney to take action, do we not? Thank you.
No, we're not using an attorney. The collections company does everything, and they charge fees on top of what we're owed so that they can get reimbursed for whatever methods they use, whether it's a wage garnishment or whatever they do. I'm sure it's not fun, but that's what happens when you don't pay your bill. So the good news is, John, that while the problem of people not paying the sewer bill isn't fixed, it's certainly manageable for now. It's not cratering the system at all.
I think blending this with the previous increase, if we don't decide to just go with a flat rate for the sewer, could we ask the water department to turn water off when we ask them to turn water off?
They won't do that.
Okay, so I say we go flat rate.
We'll take a look at that, like I said, on that meter reads, we'll take a look at the overages and see what a flat rate would do to the system.
Yeah.
Or to the budget. Probably do that tomorrow, probably.
So yes, for me, extend the extension.
An additional extension?
Yeah.
Anyone else have any other thoughts on this? I don't need a motion, just a general feel from the council, if this is something that we should pursue.
I think we should just keep going on it.
Yeah, like I said, not getting the water system back eventually is not an option. Is that too many knots? So keeping that as a viable possibility is a must. The city just needs another year or two. And
is there any way that, you said you already started talking to them about this? Because the last time we asked them for an extension, they drug it out until the very end, and then.
It did take a while, putting that first amendment together, but the second amendment is, I think will be much easier to draft. And also we're not up against the wall. I mean, our deadline is the end of next year, it's not this year.
So, yeah, but to get the extension, we don't want to wait until next year to get it.
Even if the extension wasn't a possibility, there's still time.
Yeah.
Can we apply for the water receivership and get the money together to apply?
There is a list of things that need to be in place for that to happen. One of them is the water system action plan, and that's very costly. And so that's one of the reasons why we've paused doing this until the city's in a little bit better position to do that.
That's going to come down to us like setting aside money in the budget for us to do that for the following year, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, there's ways
Or to get a grant.
There are ways it could happen right now. You could take a loan from ourselves from the sewer fund, the sewer reserve fund, to do it. There are ways that we could pay for it right now, but it's better. I think it's better that we wait just a little bit.
I'll trust your judgment on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so it seems like that's the general consensus, is that some more discussion with the county on another extension is the consensus.
Yeah, I think it's important though. I kind of want to bounce back to number 5 for a second if I can. You know, when the reporting fees went up, right? So, I mean, is there something we can work into that with, you know, locking our sewer system in with the water to, you know, where we can shut them off?
So I've had conversations it was last year before with the county, and they talked to their attorneys, and they say it's just not. It wouldn't be, in their opinion, it's not legal for.
And it's not in their
for them to shut off.
It's not in their best interest anyway, too.
It's not, but it's not really legal so the utilities are totally separate. So in essence, it would be like asking the power company to shut off power because they didn't pay our sewer bill.
Well, right, but
that's
like you said, it's one government entity leaning on another government entity. So, you know, with them even reporting to us. So it's, I mean, I don't know.
I'm just
We're a
relaying.
small town, so I'm just trying to get all I can out of it, Joe. That's all it is.
I know. So that came in late last week, and so we're moving back to number 5, the meter reads. I'm gonna have a discussion with city staff about that, about some different options, and then also maybe a conversation with the county about of phasing it in or something. Any other discussion about the water system receivership extension before we get into some fun stuff? Okay. Number 7, council to discuss resolution 12-2025, a consultant services agreement for planning with SBN services, SBN planning, excuse me.
Correct.
So
Resolution number would be 12-2024.
12-2024. Did I write 2025 there? I must have. This is not the first time I've written 2025
Jumping ahead.
on various things. I have been doing a little too much budget work for 2025, and I'm already living in next year.
You're jumping the gun.
It'll be here just like that.
All right, so as you know, last year, we started using SCJ Alliance for our planning services, primarily. It has not been a good experience. You can talk to city staff about that. Cost-wise, let's just start with cost. Their rates are a little higher than what the this other company that I'm going to suggest, SBN, is, but it's not necessarily the hourly rate. And what we're seeing from them is that multiple people will work on the same thing, and will get charged multiple hours from different people for the same project. And so it's very costly. So that's one issue. Also timeliness. Many Days, if not weeks, sometimes go by before we hear from SCJ Alliance. Also, we're on our 4th planner with them since we got with them. So the first folks that we talked with, the first lady we had, she quit. The second lady quit, and the third is still trying to get caught up. And actually, it was Rachel originally we had dealings with, and she's gone too. And so every time they do this, we have to have a new primary planner. They spend weeks or months trying to get caught up. And
Charging us.
well, I don't know if I don't have a good answer for whether or not charging us to get caught up, but it's just getting ridiculous. And City Hall is not impressed. I'm not impressed. So, and the other things that I really wanted to have from a planner, I really wanted a planner that was going to be proactive. So I feel that urban planning and a good planner can really move a city forward. And I really was hoping SCJ would be that they would volunteer helpful ideas, that they would help find us grants, that they would help really tell us the things we don't know so we know what to do. And that just hasn't happened either. So the city can have multiple planners. You don't have to have one planner. In fact, many cities have multiple planners. And so my thought is we could keep SCJ on, at least now, to continue to work on the comp plan. It's grant funded. And move over some of our bigger project work over to this particular company, SBN. So SBN is 3 people. Very small company. We work tightly with other cities. Actually, James is online right now. James is the lead for SBN services. He wanted to be here tonight to talk to you all. And I really feel that SBN would represent us well into the future for planning services. Their rates are lower than SCJ. They're a smaller firm. They've been working with Yarrow Point. If I remember correctly from the document, James, that you sent out, you guys worked on Yarrow Point's comp plan and you're already done. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's basically done. I think it's in front of council for adoption this month. Yeah. And Eatonville as well. I just want to plug that because, we're talking about a pretty quick timeline for projects like annexation. Eatonville hadn't touched their comp plan until March of this year when we took it over. And I can tell you that will also be in front of their council for adoption next month. So we are equipped and ready to, spool up quickly, get our hands dirty, and get going as projects need.
Thank you. Yeah, so my point about the comp plan is, if you remember where SCJ is on the comp plan, I don't think anyone really knows where they are on the comp plan. And I've
been on it for a year now. Huh?
Correct, yeah, and for comparison, another company has finished the city's comp plan in the amount of time that SCJ has been working on ours. So just for comparison's sake. So my request from City Council is that we approve a consultant services agreement with SBN Planning, and we can start using them for on-call services for any and all needs that we have. One of the things that we have coming up in next year, hopefully council approved, will be the annexation process. And I'd like to have a very active and experienced group that wants to help the city grow. And I think that would be SBN. James, is there anything that you'd like to say, or anything the council would like to talk to SBN about? Questions? Anything at all?
I kind of almost feel like a little blindsided by having to make this knee-jerk decision. I didn't know that we were replacing our current city planners. I didn't know there was an issue with them. And as a vendor, if there is an issue with them, like, we most definitely should be replacing them. I'm excited, Joe. Like, you put out so much effort to, locate these people and make these relationships. And I'm curious if we're like looking at other people before we're going into an agreement, and how long. I didn't get a chance to really look at the agreement itself and see how long the contract lasts. So that would be my question. Like, so if we're going to jump into an agreement with them, how long does this agreement last?
So the good news is this, Mike, this is just for on-call services. So it's an hourly, kind of like what we have with SCJ. So it's not we're not paying a monthly
Beautiful.
fee.
I'm on.
Yeah, it's
beautiful. I'm on board. Let's try them out.
Yeah, we need them. We use them. We don't.
Yep, I love it.
So, and just like, not that I'm saying that we'll have any issues with SBN, but we're not locked into them. If the council or the city has issues, we can move right along, and we're not locked into one and only. But I don't feel that's going to be an issue. One of the things that when I was researching other planning companies, I went through quite a few of them, and some of the things I was looking for was originally when we went with SCJ, I thought a large company would best serve the city, right? They have offices in Spokane, they have offices all over. You see bulletin boards all over for them, or never mind, not SCJ. I was thinking about Inslee Vest. I thought that was the right way for the city, and it turns out it's not. Having a smaller, more personal experience, I think, is the right way for the city. Just like when developers come here to deal with Vader, they deal with 3 people, right? I really think that's the same relationship we should have with some of our
planning.
Our contractors, you know, it's the relationship we have with our attorney, that's the relationship we have with our building officials, that's our relationship we have with our engineers. And we have and I think all those services are, I think we have a rock star setup, and I think planning is one thing that the city really needs and really could use improvement.
So on that note, I make a
I always
motion.
trust that you have our best interest at heart, Joe. So
I make a motion that we approve resolution 12-2024.
Motion by Mr. Parsons to approve resolution 12-2024. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Daly. Further discussion, questions?
I'm happy because we need to go forward. Just like you said, they've been dragging the feet with the planning and comprehensive plan. We need to go forward. We need to get going. Thank you.
James, any last words?
No, I mean, I'm happy to, again, of course, answer any questions here or by email or phone. But I can say that, you know, we're really looking forward to getting started and happy to, you know, hit the ground running as best we can.
Great. All right, any other discussion from the council?
thank you, James.
I'm hearing none. All those in favor of resolution 12-2024, consultant services agreement for planning with SBN, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you, James, for being online and spending some time with us.
Yeah, thank you. It was good to hear some of the other stuff going on too. I'm sorry we can't offer waste services and water.
Get a truck, man. All right, moving on to number 8. Council to discuss the 2025 budget and process. Lisa, do you have any comments before we get going on the process portion of it? Oh, sure. All right. Any council thoughts on the budget yet? Hopefully, a few weeks ago, some documents were sent out. Obviously, in your packet now, it's a little bit more streamlined, a little bit closer. The reconciliations just came out for end of October, came out today. And so those are not yet part of the documents. Right before this meeting, I did enter them in to the system, and things just got a little bit more favorable. Other good news that just came in this week, I don't know if you checked your email 25 minutes before the council meeting, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. The 911 sales tax passed, that was on the ballot. That's gonna, a reduction in what you're seeing there by about $9,000 because the sales tax is going to fund that mostly versus the municipalities. So that's really good. Also not in there, or to be this 4th of July, the $5,000 that we just found out about today through the LTAC tourism funds. Numbers will just be a little bit more favorable. Some things that are in, if you look at the overview sheet though, you'll notice that our expenditures are about 100,000 more than our revenue on the general fund. Now, half of that number is money we already have. So we still have ARPA COVID relief money, and we still have the jail window insurance money that we got. And so we already have that money sitting in the account. And so that is half of the overage and expenditures versus revenue. So that's good news. The other half of the reason why expenditures exceed revenue, primarily it's for the anticipated annexation costs. So if the city does decide to start annexing our UGA, our initial estimates for that are tens of thousands of dollars. So good news is we can do it. And the other good news is in the long run, the additional revenue in the following year would more than offset the expenditures that one year. So it's a tough pill to swallow initially, but it'll pay dividends forever going forward. So that is the skinny on the overview page. Things in that budget that are in there, there is a 6% increase to the sewer rates. I think that is around, comes out to about $10 a billing cycle, which is $5 a month-ish. So not too bad. I think last year in the budget letter, I said we would need to do that for a few years to come until we get these new residences built in town. The sewer budget is balanced by new sewer hookups, so we're assuming only 8 hookups which is very, very, very conservative, hopefully, in 2025. So that balances the budget. Ideally, any of those sewer hookups would normally go into the sewer reserve fund. But in this case, we'll use them to balance the operating portion of the sewer. So and we had 6 hookups this year. I think that's where we're at right now. So I know Unique Property Solutions is going to build the 7 houses up on the hill next year. And so we'll definitely get at least the 8 for the year next year. What else can I say about the sewer?
I love the side notes on the budget. So,
thank you.
No.
Those are for me, but I'm glad you appreciate them. So I don't forget why those numbers are there. What else is on the sewer budget? I think I have them. I do have the higher meter reads in the sewer side of the budget already. So like I said, the budget is still balanced on the sewer side. General fund side. Those sheets that are in your packet, they do include pay raises for the employees. That would be the percentage increase for minimum wage going up, and also a percentage increase for cost of living. So that way they can maintain their, I don't know, what's the right way to put it? Whatever, if they're this high above minimum wage, they'll still be that high above minimum wage, so that they won't lose their spending power. So it's about 5.3%, I believe. Also, it includes like a double step increase for our building and planning.
Double step increase for building and planning, and it's a single step for public works.
Mm-hmm. Based on performance and the extra savings we're having with that expertise for having that particular individual working for the city. It is absolutely warranted. We save more and earn more than that pay increase would be. So those are in there. What is not in there is a property tax increase. And I don't know if anyone saw the dissertation that I emailed to you at 2 a.m. this morning.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful, Joe.
Yeah, it was good. It turned out to be something else. That could be available to anyone in the public if they want it. It discusses property tax levy, what an increase to property tax might look like, what the other cities are doing in the county, and how Vader compares. And so obviously you'll take a look at, hopefully you take a look at that, and at the next meeting, is this correct, Lisa? The next meeting we'll need to set the property tax levy? Yes, and so.
So we don't talk about that yet.
You can talk about it all you want.
I'm not for it. I think everyone is hurting so much. Every single thing I owe, from taxes to utilities, everything has gone up. And I think you're going to get a lot of ill will for $16,000. You're going to get a lot of ill will from from the people here, if you do that, I think you ought to see what happens in the next year with the economy and maybe not try to, it's just like everything people get, like LeMay, everybody is just, come on, give me some more money. And I do know a way we can get revenue that none of you are going to be probably too happy about. I have been talking to Cheryl Grant with the MRSC, and if we were to drop our maintenance ordinance about pot being allowed here, we would get free money from them because we would include it in all the cities where they divide the money up. Doesn't mean you have to have pot here because we're still going to be, we can still tell them what, like you can't be this, you can't be that, so.
Yeah, you're correct. If the city does have a prohibition on cannabis-related businesses, and because of that, we do not get a portion of the taxes that are generated from that. I believe, I could go back and look, I believe it's about, Vader would probably get around $700 for the year.
Toledo got around $4,000, so they did send me
we're up that high now.
Yes, so things are going down.
Plus liquor tax.
Because we're not getting the whole liquor tax because we're not signed up according to them.
Oh, okay, so that number includes the liquor tax. Yeah. So we get the liquor tax.
No, that doesn't, that was when they divided it up. She sent a little, I didn't bring it in, but a form. And there's like PL doesn't allow, but they still get it. And she also said because of our ordinance, which is illegal, we need to change our ordinance because we have things in there that are illegal.
Oh, well, we can take a look at that and then.
And that's from her, not me.
And make sure. Yeah, so if you go to, I believe it's on the Department of Commerce's site, and you can pull up historical tax distributions for everything that the cities get, including from the Liquor Cannabis Control Board. And you can pull up the distributions to every city and see what our comparable cities got. And in the past, it was in the hundreds of dollars is what Toledo and PL were getting, or not PL, but and Winlock were getting. It's based on population, so the smaller you are, the less you get. And
they can't really give you a number because of all the.
And so so it was in the hundreds of dollars, and I remember the last time we talked about it, it was the amount of money that it would cost us to pay the attorney to change our codes was more than the city would make in the first year of doing it.
You can't just say drop that code. Yeah, you just say drop that ordinance.
So, but I'll pull up that information so that council can have it, so that they know what we're missing out on by having that prohibition on businesses.
The city's liable.
Yes, yeah.
The city's liable for a suit for exceeding state law. That's what you did in council. You exceeded the state law, so that means that you can be sued.
I'll look into that. I want to make sure that we're safe. Usually cities can need to follow or exceed state laws in certain things. So I'll look into that and make sure it hasn't changed. Usually our attorney is pretty good about letting us know when things are happening that we need to be in compliance with. But some things get missed. So I'm taking a note on that.
Okay. Just a thought.
It was in 2015.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since we've even looked at that.
So, budget. What else off the top of my head? Right, we're talking about.
I did notice that, for year to date, for liquor taxes, we had a zero. It was blank. So I imagine that right now we can't even foresee what, like, cause now we have there's a bar in town, right? And they're selling liquor, so.
Well, we get a portion of that regardless of whether we have a bar or not. Okay, so, yeah, so the bars code changed. So there was this liquor tax, the bar codes changed, so you see every single year here. And there is, so we're utilizing these bars codes here. So you can see let's see. Yeah, you can see that so far as of the end of September, I haven't updated this with the end of October yet. We had, $6,800 in liquor taxes so far this year.
I didn't see that on the printout I did for myself. I apologize.
Nope, no worries. It's a lot of lines. Questions? I think. If there's anything else on here I wanted to mention. Streets, parks, sewer. That revenue is pretty easy. Expenditures. Okay, so you can see on here that the payroll section is being increased as it states. That's a suggestion, council could change it. Some of these yellow items that are adjustable, office supplies, office equipment, these are things that we can adjust. We buy computers and pens and paper and stuff. Those are pretty normal. Attorney's fees, city hall, building maintenance.
Has the city insurance gone up yet?
Have we gotten the new rates from RMSA yet?
Rates this year from John.
Okay, so we haven't gotten the RMSA rates yet. They should be getting to this pretty soon. They know we need them, so.
Our vehicle insurance went up 35%.
So, any other discussions on the budget? If you'd like to sit together sometime, I can go line by line with you over it. If you really, really want to know.
Do we have funds to put into public works, like for equipment?
So we do have, road and street maintenance supplies. We've got that number in there, and I believe there is another line in here that talks about maintenance supplies, street maintenance supplies. So it's not much though. We're only talking $3,500 between those two line items. What do you have in mind?
I don't know. I see our city, like now we have a building inspector, we're adding to our team. Like they need some kind of vehicle to move around in. And so I think that we need to like entertain the idea of, adding to the fleet, if you will.
That's certainly been discussed. We don't like our employees driving their personal vehicles around, especially if they're going to go out and do code enforcement and they roll up in their personal vehicle. We'd rather them not do that. We've had some ideas with getting, a little side by side or something like that, like a Gator or something like that, just for in town. But the budget just hasn't really supported it yet. Well, they are looking on the state surplus sites to see if we can get a good deal. So that is definitely something that's on the hit list, though.
Do we have money in the general fund to allocate to that?
Or not just the general fund, but is there any money in the COVID stuff, improvement stuff?
So
ARPA?
Well, first, Mike Ferguson's question about extra money in the general fund. To stay in the 2-month expenditures, which is kind of to have 2 months of expenditures unspent, no. But if that was something that we wanted to forego for the year, and I'm thinking we probably will anyway, that we might be able to do that. So.
But that's something that we need to pass for the water.
It looks better to the city auditor or the state auditors when they come down. It's not a requirement, but it is, what do you say, fiscally responsible. How's that? And then your part of the question was, what was, you were saying something?
The ARPA.
ARPA, yeah, that was another part of the budget. So the ARPA funds need to be allocated in our budget this year, and then for it to be spent next year. We have $40,000. That money is for, broadly, it was for water, sewer, and broadband. However, it's been expanded to community development. So the idea with the COVID relief funds was get people outside and get them healthy again, because they were inside and they weren't exercising and all that. And so a lot of that money has been able to go into parks or other type of community development kinds of things. And so city infrastructure is kind of where it needs to go. Jason?
I thought a great idea the other day. I was watching this thing on the little library movement, as far as putting something in a park, having something city owned, like a little library at the new little green space. And you know what I'm talking about, like the little big bird house on a stick
Where you take a book.
where you take a book and get a book. That kind of thing, because I don't see people coming into City Hall. I'm not here to use our library, so.
They might not know.
I got one in my garage. It's about the size of a large doghouse.
Well, anyway, I thought, since you're talking about, funds that we need to allocate for something city improvement, and we still have that park too, to even do something, the pocket park.
Yeah, there are a variety of things we could do with the money. Some of the things on that we've talked about were an RV dump station. How much would that be able to get us to an RV dump station, which could be revenue generating into the future if we had it. The corner park across from the library, right now we have the flagpole in there. There are aspirations to turn that into somewhat of a memorial park, where there was a memorial wall around the outside of it that was low enough that you could sit on, and have a place with lighting and power, so you could have.
Where are we?
The corner lot, the same lot you were talking about. Have a corner pocket park where you could invite food trucks in, and they could park along the highway, and then people could sit and eat, and picnic tables and have lights, and there could be a small place for a small musical entertainment or something. So you could imagine, like on a Friday night in the summertime, having music and tacos down there right in the city center. That wouldn't be that costly to build out down there. So there are lots of different things we could do. So definitely over the next couple of weeks, council should think about that and come with ideas so that we can allocate that in the budget when we do.
Can we have it in drawings? Could we have it in some kind of drawing? Could somebody, so far as what you're saying with the circle and all that, could somebody maybe make a little kind of a sketch on what you're talking about when you, submit what you want to do to the park?
Sure. Actually, I've got.
And Thank you very much.
So if you remember, this is the, why is that so big? This is the vision from 2005 for the downtown. There's the little slidey thing. This picture hangs on the wall right behind where everyone's sitting right now. So this was, the city had gotten a grant back in 05 or so to do this Vader vision thing. Is it right here? I just can't see it. Yeah. Anyway. There we go. So here's the downtown. Here's the post office. Here's A Street. These are the current homes right here in the church. This is the handcrafted merchant. This is the Pocket Park property right now. Here's the city shop. So back in 2005, they had thought this would be a good place for like a city center park of some kind. And so the city working on that is kind of a vision that we've had for, before we were all involved. And so that's that. And some of the things that we've found that you could do. So these are these small venues right here where you've got just places for people to sit. Here's another one right here. Just this little walking path here and little stage. These are just little areas for people to be. I think the vision would not be necessarily to pave the whole thing. I think grass is kind of the way to go, but just small spaces. So just kind of for visuals. I lost it. But like I said, this money can be used for a lot of things besides just that. Here's a good example of a small area about the size of what we have.
Can you share your screen online, Joe?
You bet, Mike. I thought I was, but I wasn't. You get that wonderful view of the agenda. Mike, I think I've actually sent these to you before. You were talking about wanting to do a memorial park down there.
Wasn't that going to be like a veterans?
It's beautiful. I love the idea.
Yeah, just something. So I think
So they all missed the original 2005 drawing. There it is.
This one? Yeah. Anyway, so one possible thing, and again, it's just some landscape work, a little bit of brickwork and some electrical, and we could make something like that happen and have a really neat small space down there for small events. And if so this is a thing that I'm really excited about. If we've got Airbnbs here already and merchants and people hanging out downtown. Eventually, when this gets built out with more places, more businesses, there could be even more reason for this to exist. So this is news that people don't know. The folks that own the Airbnb, between the Airbnb and the CenturyLink building, they own a small vacant lot in between the two. And they're looking at building another building that looks exactly like the Airbnb right now, and with an apartment on top and a coffee shop of some kind on the bottom or something like that. And then maybe an owner-occupied kind of space.
I love it.
The corner next to the post office just got sold to the developer right here. You know what they're going to put in there?
So the folks that own the parcel next to the post office are the same folks that own all the parcels on the far side. And so almost the entire vacant area down here is owned by one company now. There's one piece in the middle that they don't own. I think they were going to talk to it. The idea is it's the same folks.
Ansel bought all that?
No, it's Unique Property Solutions bought it. So it's Jerry Baker's business. He's the one putting the 7-house subdivision up on the hill, and he's put a number of houses in town. He's looking at building that out in a few years, in the fashion that we have in our historic district designs, with the apartments on top and the businesses on the bottom. So.
You said Unique Properties about that?
Anyway.
Joe,
Yes.
did you happen to call Willie and find out about the internet speeds, starting at 100? Did they say that there was going to be a different plan? Did you happen to contact him?
Yeah, so this is a while back. I talked to him. One of the concerns we had after his presentation was that they were going to offer gigabit speed as the slowest speed, and the price was around $100 a month for that. And I know the discussion was perhaps they could offer some slower speeds at less money. That would still be much, much better than what's available now. At the time, he said that they're considering it, and they still hadn't set that stuff in stone yet. And so he was going to take those suggestions back to whatever board was going to set those. So I haven't heard anything official yet, though.
Thank you.
So so these are just things, whether we want to use money for that, we want to use money for some other projects. Have an LED bulletin board for communicating information, emergencies, that kind of thing. That would be an expense we could probably do. Dream big, not too big. Okay. Anything else on the budget tonight? Questions? Definitely take a look at it, because at the next meeting, we need to set the levy, and we need to have the final budget.
They should buy a garbage truck and have the city get the revenue.
The city does not want to get in the garbage business. We've had that discussion before.
John's a truck driver though, so he's pondering.
Cut in my fishing time.
Go last call for budget discussion. Okay. Moving on to item number 8, elected official comments. Any elected officials have comment tonight? Mr. Brummer?
Well, I will tell you that I'm going to encourage you to make it a priority to take your water system. We will do the extension. I do agree. I realize the difficulties of becoming compliant, having everything ready to take that back over. But the county, in this case, and the rest of the taxpayers in the county, didn't ask for the system. It was thrust upon us. And the amount of money that we have invested in those ARPA dollars for the infrastructure improvements are substantial. And we want to make sure that the system continues to operate properly and provide safe drinking water for the citizens of Vader. And so I encourage you to make that a priority so that you're ready to take it, hopefully with only a 1-year extension, and take it back. Because ultimately for us, it's an economy of scale. There are other water systems, small water systems, that are failing and having similar issues within the county. And at some point, the county and the Department of Health are going to have to make decisions on how we take those or how we deal with those for the safety of the people that are hooked up to them. And at the point that that happens, we are likely to create a utility. And I do want to do that. That's growing government. I'd rather see it in the hands of the city and have you managing your own system and meeting the requirements of the Department of Health. That would be preferred.
But at that point, if we have to create a countywide utility, then we're certainly going to have that kind of scale to keep operators and keep everything compliant. And that requires, a larger group of hookups. And so now's your chance to make sure that you have everything lined up in this next year and hopefully take it with only an additional 1-year extension. On the fee issue, there's a 90-day clause. I realize those are expensive. Hasn't been updated since 21. That's a problem on our side of Public Works to have not updated that annually. It should have gone up in 21, 22, 23, 24, so that there's not this exorbitant increase. If you want to get out of that sharing, it was under a resolution agreement. It has a 90-day clause in it. And so just keep in mind that you'll have to exercise your 90 days to get out of it and discontinue the sharing of the meter information. That ultimately for us is just a cost issue. That's what we're paying to have the meters read. And so that's where we're at with it. Any questions?
I appreciate that, I really do.
You're welcome.
Who was just speaking?
That was Commissioner Scott Brummer.
Gotcha.
See what happens when you don't come in person, Mike? We got county royalty here.
I'm on my computer building an estimate for a customer. I'm multitasking, Joe. I'm sorry.
I know how that is. All right. On that, meeting adjourned at 7:36 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Here's